Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burnettwork. Welcome to Positive Fandom. I'm your host, Mmmm, and of course, we have with us today Darth Plato. Darth Plato, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. And I had a great Christmas. And how are you? And how was your Christmas?
It was great. Thank you for asking. It went by too fast. I always want Christmas to last forever, so I hate when it ends, but it's going to end. But there will be another Christmas next year. And guys, we are here for the Pacific. We are reviewing the Pacific leading up to Masters of the Air, a new series that will be starting, I believe, in January 12th, I think, around there. Where Plato and I will be reviewing that series as well. But right now, we're going to be reviewing all the episodes of Pacific. We're doing 2 episodes up until that point, up until the premiere of Masters of the Air. And Dark Plato, the series has been great so far, has it not?
It is a good series. I'm a little wondering why the critical review is lower than Band of Brothers. I don't get it. I think it's a great series.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic as well. I think the performances are spectacular. And the reenactment of this, it feels very, very authentic and very real. Of course, I am not a Pacific World War II scholar, so I just want to throw that out there. However, for entertainment value and for just presenting it in a respectful manner, I think this does that. And I can't wait to see these next episodes, Dark Plato. So, guys, we have our counter right down there. It's at 3 minutes. You should see something that says Australia, January 1943 on the screen. So we're going to be starting at 3 minutes, everybody.
And we're
And
on Netflix.
yes, you can watch it on Netflix. You can watch it on a number of different services. Uh, so go ahead and watch it in whatever way that you have it. If you have the DVD or something like that, please do queue it up. And it is available on Netflix, which is fantastic. Um, Darth Plato, are you ready to begin?
I'm all set.
All right, so let's go ahead and press play in 3, 2, 1. Press it, punch it, or whatever way you want to describe it.
Yeah, the way the parade looks, I think they just won the whole thing.
Yeah. They're in Australia.
I think it's Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne, Australia.
They look so confused.
Well, I guess it's better than being shot at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little kid question.
What I also kind of like about this Dark Plato is you can look at them and you can see that they've seen action, right?
Yeah, they look like they've been chewed up. Yeah, that's
Is
for
this where they're
sure.
supposed to be camping?
Hmm?
Is this where they're camping?
It looks like they were chewed up. But they're at some sort of stadium. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that they couldn't for some reason they couldn't find proper housing for them, so they just put them here,
Hmm.
sleeping in the bleachers.
Aw. Wow.
Otherwise known as booze.
I see nothing wrong with this.
It's true. The Australians were attached to the Eighth Army.
Okay. Well,
Say what?
that's not a compliment. You just called them roaches. Whew. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness gracious. You know how much I love romance.
If you've never seen this episode before, you're gonna like this episode.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Aw. Everybody's watching this, including me. Absolutely.
Well, that wasn't a very long ride.
Hope he doesn't lose it. But you write the number on your arm just in case, something happens to the paper. Oh no, they're not going to wake these boys up like this. This is so mean. This is so mean. Oh my gosh.
In breaking news, the bugler was shot today.
Were they not supposed to go out last night?
I think technically they were able, yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
What an honor.
Yeah, I don't think she's really felt it yet.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not an easy award to get. A lot of guys are receive that award posthumously.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Who's that guy supposed to be? Your guardian?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's kind of a big glass. She's going to spill it. Yeah, this is a problem. They're not supposed to be there, I guess. I didn't realize. Oh my gosh. He's higher profile now, I guess.
Yeah, he is. That's true. Yeah, that turned out everybody for it.
Yeah. Wow. And hello to Paul from Long Beach, who says hello, who I met over the last few days ago. Paul, hope you were well. Hope your family's well. It was great meeting you the other day. Also, hello to Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator, collaborator, and good friend. Tom, I hope you are well. Hope you're enjoying this holiday week. Great to see you as always. We are all Booth people. And hello to John Cipolla. Says, hey guys. Well, hey to you, John, and thanks for joining us for this incredible watch party for the Pacific, an incredible series, which I agree with Darth Plato doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for coming.
Uh-oh. Taking somebody's flowers from their yard.
I would have took the white one. Yeah, it's Greek Orthodox Day.
Definitely.
Um, okay. This looked more like an ambush.
Well, he came to her house. He's going to meet her family. There's no way around that.
I think he might have had a lowered expectation for what was going to happen.
Well, maybe.
Well, Thanksgiving's been around for a long time. It wasn't technically a law until FDR wrote it. That's true. Yeah, but it's the same with Christmas. Christmas wasn't technically a law until the 20th century, but it's been around since, gosh, I don't know, since the
Well, thank
fourth
goodness
century.
for official federal holidays.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it was made up in the 1940s. It's been around a long time. It's the technicality. Oh, Smyrna. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Greeks really took it on the chin at Smyrna.
Wow.
I think it's Fitzgerald wrote about it,
Mhm.
or Hemingway. It was a Hemingway or Fitzgerald. He wrote about the sack of Smyrna, and he was describing the scenes at the docks. So I've read about what was going on there. If they're talking about what I think they're talking about, then they saw some pretty bad stuff. He's not supposed to stay away from the stadium at night. Not unless he had the pass, but yeah, you're right.
What?
That's pretty.
Wow.
That's pretty hospitable.
Yeah. He can't say no. This is like the nicest place he's stayed. It's either like in a beautiful real house or stay in a stadium with all those other guys.
Yeah, sure beats being in the stadium.
Hmm.
But he may have a
So
hard time sleeping. Whoa.
I suspected this was going to happen. Lucky girl. It's very cheeky. And right in your own parents' house? Wow. You were right, Darth Plato. I do like this episode.
Maybe that's why the season gets not liked by critical viewers. I don't know.
Because of a love scene?
Yeah, maybe it could be. You've heard Rob talk about this. It's scenes like this. Just you don't see them very often anymore.
Well, it's beautiful. I mean, I thought you were referring more to the critical response, but
Yeah,
um,
that is what I meant. Yeah,
okay.
I don't care what critics think. I really don't.
Yeah, this is a great love scene. Thank you, the Pacific. I agree. He needs recovery time. Mm-mm-mm. It's a bit of a fantasy. Some hot American soldier ends up staying in your home. Like, this is a total fantasy, which I'm fine with, but it's hot. Like, it's hot. I definitely have to give them the thumbs up for this one.
Not over yet.
Mm. I mean, it is during the war, like wartime sex. We could probably do a whole show on wartime sex because it's the war. You don't know if you're even going to be alive tomorrow. And the odds are for many of these men, they weren't. It's something to think about and a different level of, what's at stake for them.
That's true, but it's more. It is a bit more recent though. It's historically, armies have always been kind of, licensed to do whatever they want, and I do mean whatever they want. And that was true even when they were passing through locales of their own country. It wasn't always a pretty sight in the past. That there definitely was some civilizing going on in the 19th and 20th century. What we're seeing is a very civilized version
Hmm.
of that.
And, you and I have watched a number of other movies about war, for practical purposes. I think we saw another film, I think it was about Vietnam, where, many of the soldiers were going to a brothel, the only place that they could get any kind of intimate contact with anybody.
Yeah,
And that was criticized, during that wartime as well. It is interesting
yeah,
the way,
yeah. But it was criticized because it was on TV.
yeah. But
That's the
it is
problem.
very interesting, and it was also criticized. The soldiers themselves were criticized for that behavior, which we talked about before. But I think it is very interesting. I think that people do need intimacy, and the notion that someone has to go years and years without intimacy is, that's just unfair to expect from somebody who needs to have that intimacy. And I like that they touched on this and addressed it.
Especially in a volunteer army
Yes, yeah.
or Marines in this case.
So how's he gonna swing being there all the time and not in the barracks or the pseudo barracks?
Whoa, you see what's going on here? Barcelona's about to get the Captain America treatment.
I didn't realize. He did run out there, like when bullets were flying, he ran out. Oh, they're gonna use him as a poster
Right?
person.
That's right. He's going to be going to shows and stuff.
So he's not gonna be fighting on the front line anymore?
Yep, that's exactly what's going to go on.
Wow.
Politics, politics is weird. That's a very political thing that just happened.
Can't you feel the love?
I got this means he's not going to be writing letters to Vera anymore.
No, I don't think Vera's letters are taking priority right now. Oh, goodness. What?
I think that was kind of the idea.
What is that?
He stole it from the mess. Guarantee
Oh,
you.
okay.
I guarantee you that's where he got it. Probably stole it from the officers' mess.
Oh. Oh, he says he traded.
He probably did trade it, yeah. But that's still the same thing, though. He traded with somebody else who stole it.
I'm kind of curious as to what he's going to do if this girl gets pregnant. It's hard to pay respects at a time like this because sometimes they're, and I'm not faulting any people who feel this way, but sometimes they're not happy seeing soldiers at this time, or for whatever political reasons they might not have the you know types of feelings towards soldiers that are amicable for many reasons. So it's not easy to show up in your uniform and appear at someplace like this, but it shows he cares about this
In,
girl.
in this day and age, I think it's fine. You don't really see that, I guess, until after the war, after the Second World War. When you start getting into the Vietnam era, that's true. Or
Hmm.
I think that was true in Britain, though. The British didn't like public displays of militarism, so so you couldn't wear your uniform. You'd be criticized. What, you couldn't wear a suit?
Right.
They didn't like it when you wear that stuff in public.
Yeah,
Obvious,
especially if it's what would be considered, this is not an official uh
but in Australia,
military. Yeah.
yeah, Australia is a little bit different though.
I'm giving you the update. We can't have sex right now because my mom is still awake. So I love it.
Seems like the kind of community where everybody knows everybody.
Hmm. Roman Catholic. Hmm.
Yeah, Catholics and Greek Orthodox don't really go together.
Hmm. There are a few, they're about 30 days after every holiday for us. Hmm. You know, I hadn't thought about this, Darth Plato, but what if he does die? You know, it's really heartbreaking. And I'm sure this girl is thinking that as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
I believe they say we're out for an old jog.
I mean, I almost thought maybe he should just marry that girl because you just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring in this type of situation. You really don't.
I don't think he's really allowed to do that.
So he would so guys who are in the military have to ask for permission to get married, right?
Yes, but he's in the middle of service. He can't just quit.
No, he's not going to quit. He's going to get married and then go back to service.
Yeah, I guess you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, what are they doing? He's out of control.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to get. I don't think they're in his command, but
Uncooked. $100 in Australia. That can't be pleasant.
no, it must be very uncomfortable. He didn't say anything about how much water they were getting. To me, water would be the prime thing I'd need.
Yeah, I've heard that before about Australia. If you don't have fresh water, you're dead. Yeah, this is January, so
Mm-hmm.
that's summer down there.
Yeah. I guess I could march at night. I would be too bad they can't march at night versus the daytime. It's cooler, right?
As a general rule of thumb, it is in some places. That's exactly what they did. They march at night. But in this case, I think they want them accustomed to moving around and oh, nasty.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah, that's nasty.
no. Oh, it's just they have blisters.
Yeah, Lansing. Catherine Mia. That's The sign said Cathaneo. It's like a community cafe. Cafe.
Um, what you've been doing just might make you have a baby with him. You really could have like had a baby with him with all that what you were doing with him, miss. That's what leads to having babies.
Oh, Lance was here earlier. How you doing, Lance? If you're still here.
Oh, hey, Lance from the Outcast Creative. Hi, Lance. Hope you are well. Um, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to
Yeah.
you. So good that you stopped by. Hope all is well with you. He does know, like, he's been very lucky, right? He does realize that he's been very, very lucky up to this point. He ought to be thanking her.
You should.
Yeah, he should be like, thanks so much for everything. But she's kind of rejected him.
You kind of you know what that is? That's giving counsel to your fears. It was basically I can't stand the idea of reading about your casualty report in the paper, so let's just forget about it.
Yeah, and I don't blame her. I'd be terrified to meet, this guy who's fantastic and then only to have him be killed. It's just would be devastating. What is he doing?
I think he's on sentry duty, and he's asking to recover.
I recognize that man. He was in For All Mankind. He's Danny, I think. I could be wrong, but it looked like him.
I don't think that's Danny. This was made 13, 14 years ago. Danny was a young guy.
Hmm. Oh my gosh. Oh
Whoa.
my god.
That's FU, sir. Yeah, that'll get you in the brig.
Oh my god. He lost it.
Yeah, he sure did.
Uh-oh. The military police are walking towards him.
Yeah. They're like truant officers.
Got it.
And that was not a request.
That was an order. So you realize what that means, sweetheart. We only have till 2300 to do anything tonight.
Yeah,
Oh
but
no, look at them. They're like prisoners. There's a black mark on their uniforms.
that thing is just. Uh, I think they heard you.
Yeah, they did they? Quick, quick, you only have so much time. Or as I've seen in another film, we can do a lot in 30 minutes. Has he ever been with a woman before? Because he's very timid.
So I'm guessing our pops is about to come burst in and say, "I warned you." Yeah, it's the thing about the critical review. I don't think the critics like positive portrayals of the military. So these guys are being portrayed in a positive light. I think they prefer the military being portrayed as something like what you see in Rebel Moon. You know, those crazy people.
Oh man, they're leaving.
Yep.
Oh goodness gracious.
Yep. Back to the war. San Fran.
Yep, I recognize that bridge.
Yeah, I could drive there in 15 minutes.
You guys, we're gonna go right into the next episode. I think it goes autoplay, right?
Okay. Yep.
What does it say?
Yeah,
Nine,
I'm
eight,
going to
7,
3 minutes.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 second. We're on part 4 with HBO Ministry. Did you skip the intro?
Yeah, I
I
am
take that as
going
a
there.
yes. Okay, so let me restart the counter.
Yeah, I'm on 253.
Okay.
December 43? What the hell? They jumped an entire year almost. Wow, they.
Oops. Second. I see things being fired. Did they hit somebody?
Oh, you went in. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't hurt to give a
It
warning.
looks like they're doing artillery training. Yeah, what they're doing is they're training field artillery. So what happens is the Marines will advance to a strong point, and then they can't get any closer because of a enemy dug in fortification, etc. So they call in artillery to help them out. And so they have a really long field telephone with with a wire that's literally thousands of yards long. And stuff like this you're seeing here. This is the
Oh,
sort.
he's
What?
writing to Vera again.
Huh?
He's writing to Vera again.
Hmm. So what scene do you see right now?
I'm seeing them zoom into something that says the Coral Sea, Bismarck Sea, New Britain, December 1943.
Yeah, H platoon means heavy. I don't know what ETO is. Never heard of that.
Does anybody in the chat know what ETO is?
I don't even know where they are. Where they proved.
Well, they showed the map.
Yeah, I skipped over the scene. Yeah, there were some Japanese units that were actually really good at navigating the jungle. It wasn't common, but they did have some good outfits. Why would you want to be point? This is such a Vietnam War vibe.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Wow. That was bold. And Tom Jr. Jackson says the Pacific is truly a rewatchable show. I agree, Tom, 100%.
Yep. Very underrated show.
Ooh, the snake.
Eesh.
Oh no.
Yeah, they come out of the jungle. Hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah, it is difficult. I don't think he likes being taken out of the action. I don't think he likes this intelligence responsibility.
An acquired taste. The Japanese did that a lot. They just frontal assault. It's like they believed that they had a low opinion of Americans, so they thought that if they just came out screaming, that the Americans would just run instead of standing their ground. And it turns out they were wrong about that. Yeah, Rebel. Yeah, Rebel was a major staging ground for the Japanese in those days.
Oh no.
You remember in the first episode when they tried to pick up that Japanese guy and he had the grenade?
Mm-hmm. Why did I have to see that?
That's why they did that. Once you pull a trick like that with the grenade, you'll never be given quarter.
It actually said in the description bayonet slicing. Ugh.
Yeah, it's graphic.
Have to be careful of booby traps.
See the victor goes to spoils.
I'd be careful.
Well, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. He didn't have to check for traps.
It's
Oh, oh. Hmm.
Look at that guy smiling. General Lee once said, "It's good that war is so terrible. At least we should grow too fond of it." I think that he's talking about people like this.
Ooh.
That's nasty. That
Oh, his shoe came off.
yeah, that happened to me once. I put my boot into the mud, and my foot came right out of the boot. The boot was still in the mud.
Hmm.
Yeah, just be careful.
He's brushes up against these officers a lot.
Yeah, that's why you have to be careful. Yeah, I understand where the guy's coming from, but he was being a real a-hole about it.
I don't think this is the time that you. This is not the type of like time period you want to make enemies.
Not when you're in the field like that. No, it's one thing to be out on the base, but when you're in the field like that, you can't do that.
Kill him. Oh my goodness gracious. What kind of comment is that? Oh, really? Ballsy. Does he have something else?
Stay dry. That's very helpful. Yeah, there it is. Rainy weather. Jesus.
He's completely nude.
I don't remember this scene.
Full frontal nudity. And something like this? Oh my god, this is awful.
That was an officer. Jeez. Well, that's not very inspiring when the lieutenant shoots himself.
No. And that's not the lieutenant who was angry at him, was it?
No, that was Larkin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Lowback. They mentioned them earlier in the episode. Larkin, I think, was a captain, so that means he's down a lieutenant.
Okay. They're leaving the Bismarck Sea and they are going to Russell Island.
Russell, yeah, Peru, yeah. I believe they call that a shrew.
So it's not a rat.
That guy's got malaria. Man, that's nasty. Hmm. You'd have to, yeah, I believe it.
And look at Chef Nation. Chef Nation is here. Hi, Chef Nation says, good evening, beautiful people. Great show. I have the Band of Brothers on Blu-ray. Yes, Chef Nation. I'm so glad to hear that. We are covering all of the Pacific in eager anticipation of Masters of the Air. Chef Nation, hope you're well. I love your photo, Chef Nation. Hope you are doing well wherever you may be. I love that cute little dog there with you as well. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Dak mon chef.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's sick.
Oh no. No. Don't let him be dead.
No, he's sick.
Okay.
Yikes.
Well, they have dysentery. We know that. And then he has something else.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
I mean, they're exposed to parasites too.
In this part of the world, it could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Aneresis.
He's non-responsive.
No, he hates it out there. Doesn't look so bad there.
No, it looks more like civilization rather than in the middle of the jungle.
You understand what he's asking? He's handing over anything that could be used
To
as
kill himself. But
kill
I don't think
himself,
he'll
yeah.
ever see that gun again. He's like gives everybody, I'm not gonna say hell, but he's kind of tough. I don't think he's ever going to get it back, but
He's not going to get it back while he's an inmate. Who is that?
it's hopefully the next woman he gets to know.
He's lost his mind.
Should that guy be in there with them, or should he be in a different ward? And well said, Chef Nation, who says, "Welcome to the Pacific. Here you'll experience heavy rain, mudslides, and losing your mind. It is unfortunate."
Yeah. So long as he's not hurting anybody, including himself, he'll stay there.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's F you, sir. It, you're talking about PTSD. The thing is, the term PTSD, I don't think it was around in those days. Didn't come till later, so they didn't really have a formal name for it. So they just say they were exhausted. It was also controversial. Some people didn't believe it was a real thing.
What? What is he doing?
Yeah. Now he's gonna be in a special place. Yeah, once he shows violence or the potential for violence, yeah, they'll lock you up.
Doesn't he know him?
That's the crazy guy that was in the group. He was the guy that was shooting from the train. The guy who's trying to strangle that Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gee, I hope
I'm
he
not.
doesn't burn the place down with that cigarette.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's in there.
And hello to the Bessie, Nessie, and David Rose, who says, Happy holidays, Empress. Hope you are well, David Rose. Good to see you, and happy holidays to you as well.
Welcome. Tried to steal a plane.
Yeah, that's a bit dramatic and maybe unforgivable.
Especially if you don't know how to fly it.
Mm-hmm. He's actually asking to get out of there.
Yeah. That's a positive sign compared to where he was a little while ago.
Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious. letting you out like it's a prison.
No, they won't. I like how they're talking about this because we're talking about something that wasn't really understood in those days. I think the reason why Lucky wants to leave is because he doesn't see himself as far gone as these guys. He doesn't feel like he fits in. Like I'm not as sick as these guys.
I thought he was just going to a regular hospital.
Yeah, that's the thing. What some of these guys are suffering from, it wasn't a recognized illness. That was still very controversial in those days. PTSD. It wasn't called PTSD in those days. Well, look at the eyes on that guy.
He almost has that 1,000-mile stare.
That's exactly what that is. That was a very good rendition of that. Really, really scary. It was even worse in the days before state asylums. So when someone went nuts, they would just take them to the hospital, and doctors knew that you couldn't treat someone like that by bringing them to the hospital. They don't bring them here. I can't treat this person. So they would just take them to jail instead. The jails were full of people like that. So either the hospital or jail. That was the only thing. Even into the 20th century, yeah, people were trying to figure out what it is about war that drives some men crazy. I think the breakthrough work on that was done by Sigmund Freud in the years after World War One.
Wow.
You ever see the movie Patton?
Not since I watched it a bazillion years ago.
Okay.
On Turner Classics.
Okay. Well, there's a scene where he slaps a soldier, and he does that because the guy's suffering PTSD. And Patton, he's an old school guy. He doesn't recognize that that's a legitimate illness. He's like, "Oh, that's just mumbo jumbo. There's nothing wrong with you." So there were people who thought that in those days. And I think what you saw that a little bit at the hospital. The doctor clearly did believe that there was something wrong with these guys, but that was the best they could do with what they had available to them.
Definitely, and certainly this was another. I mean, I enjoyed the first two episodes, and I enjoyed 3 and 4 even more. Darth Plato. This really is such a fantastic series, and anybody who hasn't watched it, I encourage you to watch The Pacific. Of course, Darth Plato and I are going to continue next Thursday with episodes 5, and 6. We're going to do all 10 episodes of the Pacific. We're doing 2 at a time. I just want to thank you, Darth Plato, for joining me to watch episodes 3 and 4. Darth Plato, did you have any other comments about episodes 3 and 4? I mean, I can personally tell you that I loved episode 3, and I think it's so important for us to see that many, not all, but many of these men did have relationships during this time with people, and it does mean something to them. Certainly, being able to have those intimate moments away from the chaos and the horrors of war are so important. And I was glad that they took the time to show that in many different levels that we saw for many experiences with these men. And then in the second episode, where this is sort of one of the main characters returns back to the theater, if you will, he has this experience that's just breaking him now. Certainly, that one soldier who was told he has to go back to the United States, he was not expecting that. It feels like it came out of nowhere. And then the resentment, hearing the men say, well, we all did that, this notion of we've all been kind of, risking our lives and sacrificing, seeing, him kind of get glorified. It's to sell the war bonds. That's the purpose of a lot of why he's there. But even he feels uncomfortable returning home. What did you think about the depictions of what we saw, Darth Plato?
I think their description of Barcelona was unfair. I think what he did was deserving of the medal. So I think they're being a little unfair there. Personally, I think the fourth episode is my favorite episode so far because it really does get into the psychology of what some of you guys really went through. And that's interesting.
Yeah, and that is very important to talk about. And as you mentioned, we don't always see that in every depiction of World War II. Certainly, it's something that later on is addressed, but it's done with so much dignity and respect, as far as I'm concerned, here in this series, which just seems to be getting better and better. It is difficult to watch many of the scenes, but I am enjoying it, and I'm so glad that we are looking at the Pacific.
Look, one of the things I really like about this episode, I'm going to talk about the fourth episode now, is because whoever wrote this episode really was being mindful about the time that they were writing in. Because clearly they're writing about people who are suffering from PTSD, various stages of it. But the term did not exist in those days, and it was still a controversial thing in the medical community and outside the medical community. And so they were depicting it in a way that I thought was very period specific and period accurate. And I'm really impressed with how they did all of that. Like the doctor sitting there, like, well, I think that guy just exhausted. No, there's something more going on here, but he doesn't know what else to call it. No one really did in those days. Eventually, people did figure this stuff out, but that was after the war. So I really like how they dealt with that episode. And Bob Leckie, yeah, really, that's your diagnosis. I could have come up with that. He's not really taking it seriously. But when he sees the guy hurting himself, and he sees Gibson in the jail with 1,000-yard stare, now he's starting to understand that some people are just really messed up, and whatever he's going through, like he was messed up. I'm not saying he wasn't messed up, but he wasn't on the level of what those guys were going through, and he knew that. That's why he wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, and that is a very good observation. And as I said, my comment was I thought they would have sent him to just a regular hospital because, obviously they do have institutions for people, but perhaps not institutions at that location for people who are suffering
100
at war and
50,
in that way, because obviously people did get sent to institutions where they had trouble like this. But on an island, I imagine you're lucky to get any facilities at all, let alone a separate ward. That's just not possible. But certainly it was quite a thing for him to see the officer also take his own life, which he was not expecting. He kind of was going about his regular duties after mouthing off. I'm not going to say he wasn't the worst person to do that, but he knew he was pushing. He was pushing the boundaries, and it's because he's fed up with everything that's going on. It's not easy to deal with war and handle all of this. So I think it was very interesting that we saw that moment of the soldier who went ahead and unfortunately took his own life. It was very, very
Yeah.
shocking, but done, I think, in a way that would be the true experience. We also saw some scenes where people were getting killed and they had to, I guess, pretty much take care of certain things, but that was difficult to watch too. So it was certainly a continuation of these circumstances that are so hard that everyone has to go through in this particular action. And I think they're doing a great job of it. I think this is really a great series.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next 2 episodes. Of course, we have to wait till next week, but I can't wait for the next 2 episodes. What about you, Darth Plato?
Hey, we could do it right now if you want.
I can't.
That's all right. That's all right. Now, what I was going to say was, if this had been 50 years ago or 100 years ago, he wouldn't have been taken to the. He might not have been taken to the hospital at all. He might have been just thrown in jail.
Yeah, and I guess the only people who weren't would be like if you were a conscientious objector. In some cases, I guess that was the only other circumstance. I think that was an unusual situation. But certainly, we are seeing a very accurate, as far as I'm concerned, depiction of what these experiences were like for these men in the Pacific, virtually in the middle of the ocean in a lot of cases. And pretty much the notion that this man was going to commandeer a plane was a truly desperate act after everything else we've seen him do. It is very hard to watch him there, and he himself knows he's in trouble. He knows that things are bleak for him, and that's also very hard to see there. So, Lucky is off to his unit again, and it's not going to get any easier.
Also, just a quick comment about what we saw earlier with the brutality of how they treated each other and the enemy. So, in the first episode, you recall the incident where they were picking the Japanese guy off the ground, and he dropped a grenade on them, and they killed those GIs, those Marines. When you do a dirty trick like that, there's not going to be any quarter. And that's why you see the Marines in this episode not taking prisoners. You find a Japanese guy alive, you just give him the bayonet. And that's why they were doing that. If you pull a trick like that, you're never going to get quarter.
Mm-hmm. And certainly, I'm impressed with the manner upon which it's depicted in this series. It's done so well and certainly feels quite real. And I think that they certainly got their point across. It's a really shocking scene to watch, and it does make its point. They did it very well, and it feels very real. So it is another very difficult scene to watch. And of course, I'm very happy for all the love scenes that we saw in episode 3. Those were fantastic. I'm so glad.
Well, it's certainly better than the Napoleon movie, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's what they should have had in the Napoleon movie. That's what they should have had. Something more like that going on, and more than one love scene, of course. We got more than one love scene here. We got quite a few in that episode, and that was great. And it did advance the story. And certainly, it was hard for him to hear from this young woman that she's kind of cutting it off or breaking it off, but. I think there was a high probability that this was going to be broken off anyway, at least let's say right now. And of course, sure enough, he goes back to writing to Vera. So Vera was not done, Darth Plato. She was still around. Good old Vera, waiting back home, probably working, to make things for the war effort as well. So, Darth Plato, I really enjoyed these episodes. You said 4 was your favorite. For me, it was episode 3. Certainly 2 amazing episodes. And next week certainly will be, I have a feeling, equally enjoyable. Darth Plato, any last thoughts before we wrap up the show?
I just made them. Thanks for having me on. It's really visceral. It's really interesting. And I love it.
I do too, having you here as well. Darth Plato, where can people find you?
You can find me. Well, you can find me right here on the It Show.
Of course, you guys can reach out to Darth Plato on the Burnettwork or on Positive Fandom, and you can find me on both of those channels as well. I want to thank Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator, collaborator, and good friend, for being here. As always, we are all good people. Tom Jr. Jackson, and everybody who is here: Paul from Long Beach, John Cipolla, the Outcast Creative, Lance. Bessie, Nessie, Chef Nation, and David Rose. Thank you all so much for joining us in this incredible watch party of the Pacific. And thank you all for supporting the channels. Guys, always remember, no matter where you are out there in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for coming, everybody.